Hello everybody. As you can see, this is a little bit different setup, and that is because I want to explain a little bit a few things. I'm probably gonna put a timestamp where if you want to just watch the video. I just want to say a little bit sorry. I haven't uploaded in a little bit. I've been pretty busy with me trying to get my boxing career and work. I work every day. But another reason why I haven't been uploading a little bit is because I got a new PC. Well, sort of. Um, well, you could see like the Windows 10 here, and you probably can't see it. There you go. Look at this. This is it's the HP RP 5800. So it is an old computer. But I am planning on adding an SSD on it, and yeah, tomorrow probably by the time recording this video tomorrow I'm probably gonna add an SSD on it. If you want to know the specs, it is an i5 2400. Right now it has 250 gigabyte hard drive, but I will be adding a SSD on it, SATA. Probably tomorrow at the time of this recording. It has 4 gigabytes of DDR3 1333 megahertz, I think it's called. So it is not the fastest. However, I am only gonna use this PC to. It's gonna be basically my recording PC. It's gonna have OBS, just like what I have here. It's gonna have OBS, and then it's probably I have a capture card probably in the back there. And yeah, I'm gonna use it as my recording, so that I don't put a lot of power on my Mac, or maybe I could even use it for games. Probably, I don't know. I My family's always been the Mac family. Oh, jeez, it's always been the Mac family, so that's how I have this MacBook. But no joke, I found this in a trash bin next to it, and I took it, and it was definitely missing some parts. Um, this was originally in here, and it doesn't work. So I guess that's why they probably threw it away. But that's all I wanted to say. I just like that I finally have a Windows PC. I played a bit of Ultimate Custom Night and Bellagio and a bit of FNAF 6. All runs well. I just got this and I just got it working, so that was just me testing some stuff. But today we're gonna be watching some. Well, it's weird. Recently we made a reaction video of the FNAF timeline. Recently, I think last week, probably a little less. Um, yeah, a little less last week. And the creator, FuhNaff, made a new video proving that the FNAF 2 movie solved the FNAF timeline. It's only 12 minutes or a little less than 13 minutes long. It's just me, it's so that you guys can see my reaction to see if the timeline was correct and all that. So let me set it to this. Oh, look at that. Oh, there you go. Look at that. There's a lot of me's. That's a lot. I don't know why I'm saying that. But yeah, this is FNAF. I have nothing else to say other than I'll put the original video in the description and the original channel in the description as well. Let's go.
The FNAF 2 movie just answered a ton of questions surrounding the FNAF timeline. But what I'm curious about is if those answers can be used to solve the timeline of the games. The FNAF 1 movie made it pretty clear that the movies are in a separate timeline to the games. There's important characters and scenes from the games that are straight up just absent or even changed in the movies. For example, in the first movie, we see the scene where Afton gets spring-locked, with all of the animatronics surrounding him then dragging him away to the secret safe safe room. In the games, not only does this scene already take place in the safe room, the physical animatronics aren't even present. Afton disassembles all of the animatronics right before he gets spring-locked, and because of this, only the spirits themselves are surrounding Afton in the games. Like I said, similar things happen in the movies and games, but in completely different ways. So in this video, I'm gonna figure out if there really is anything we can take from the movies to help solve the game's timeline. Make sure to subscribe and let's get started. One of the biggest reveals in the movie is actually something we learned from the trailers.
You're thinking of the franchise location. This is the original.
The FNAF 2 location with the toy animatronics was the original Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. The FNAF 2 pizzeria is apparently the first and only one of its kind. This pretty much goes against literally everything we thought we knew about the FNAF timeline. The common consensus was always that there was the original Freddy's, then the toy location, and then back to the original Freddy's. So I guess the question is, in the games...
Yeah, that's what the timeline said. It was, Fredbear and Friends. Then it went to more security by Henry to develop the toy animatronics, and then the original FNAF.
And the FNAF 2 pizzeria really be the original Freddy Fazbear's Pizza? Well, the first thing I thought of was the FNAF 2 phone calls, where Phone Guy talks about the withered animatronics coming from a previous location.
By now, I'm sure you've noticed the older models sitting in the back room. Those are from the previous location, and we just use them for parts now.
The newspaper at the end of FNAF 2 also says, quote, "The new animatronics will be scrapped due to possible malfunctions. However, the original characters are being kept in hopes of a possible reorganization of the company." This straight up says that the toys are the new animatronics, while the withereds are the original characters from the previous location. All of this heavily implies that there was an original Freddy's before the toy location. There's also the fact that the movie shows the toy location being open in 1982, and
which is one of the reasons why I had a crash out when I saw 1982. I genuinely screamed, "What? What?" I can't be too loud. It's 12 in the morning. What? It was like I just screamed. It's like 1982. I was like, oh, this movie's chopped.
We know because of this coin from the games that Freddy's doesn't open until 1983. All of this felt like the nail in the coffin. There is no way that the FNAF 2 location is the original Freddy Fazbear's Pizza in the games. Right? Well, after looking back over the first 7 FNAF games, a few things stuck out to me, especially in FNAF 4. In the minigames of FNAF 4, we get to see a week in the life of the crying child. And because of the commercial playing on the TV in the living room, we know that these minigames take place in 1983. During the crying child's walk back home, we pass by a little girl playing with toy versions of the toy animatronics. We also see a toy version of Mangle in the Afton house in 1983. Why would there be toy versions of the toy animatronics all the way back in 1983? Well, maybe it's because the toys existed before 1983. In the movie universe, we know that the toys existed in 1982, and because of this...
Wait, so are you implying that FNAF 2 takes place before Fredbear's Family Diner?
One of the other big reveals is that all of the toy animatronics are actually Springlock suits. So is there any proof that the toys in the games are also Springlock suits? Well, the way that Scott has portrayed Springlock suits has actually been pretty consistent throughout the years. In the most recent FNAF game, we learned that Springlock suits feature 3 prongs on the front of the torso that can fold in and out. And this is actually identical to what we see in the first movie. In the FNAF 1 movie, we see those same 3 prongs on the torso of the endoskeleton that can fold in and out. These are 2 fairly recent examples of what Springlock suits look like. But even if you look back at the original design of Springtrap, you'll find something pretty similar. We actually never get to see Springtrap's endoskeleton in-game, but in one of Scott's FNAF anniversary posts on scottgames.com, he posted a behind-the-scenes look at the design of Springtrap, and specifically
you can see the little
endoskeleton.
You can see the
he
3
even
claws.
gives us a zoomed-in look at the torso of the endoskeleton, and right there you can see see those 3 prongs. You can also see rings around the arms and legs, presumably so human arms and legs can fit and operate inside the suit. For comparison, the Endo 01s from the FNAF 1 game do not feature the 3 prongs or the rings around the arms and legs, because the FNAF 1 animatronics are not springlock suits. So what about the endoskeleton of the toy animatronics? Well, we know that they use Endo 02s, and thankfully Scott gives us a really good look at Endo 02 in-game. And wouldn't you know, the endos for the toy animatronics have those 3 prongs on the torso and the rings around the arms and legs. Are the prongs exactly the same as the rest of the springlock endoskeletons? No. But do I think it's close enough, considering Scott probably didn't have much of the story planned when he was making FNAF 2? I think it could go either way. If Scott made a post tomorrow saying that this is a springlock endoskeleton, it would be somewhat believable. And if he made a post saying the opposite, I think it would also be believable. The combination of the 3 prongs and the rings around the arms and legs is what really gets me. This movie feels like Scott is trying to give us answers to the games, but there's so many little but big things holding me back from accepting those answers as canon. For example, the coin saying that Freddy's opened in 1983. Yes, I think I could come up with a way to explain this away. If you look at the design of Freddy used on the coin, you'll notice that it's the FNAF 1 Freddy, which is the design used for the franchise locations. Since 1983 could be referencing the start of the franchise locations after the original Freddy's with the toy animatronics shut down. There's also the fact that the gameplay for FNAF 2 takes place in 1987, not 1982. But just because the gameplay takes place in 1987 doesn't mean the pizzeria has to be open in 1987. The movies and books have established that security guards are hired to work at Freddy's long after the restaurants shut down. Like I said, there is a way to explain all of these problems away, even if it is a little bit convoluted. But the one thing I keep going back to is this newspaper we see at the beginning of FNAF 2, where it says, "Come be a part of the new face of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza." This heavily implies that there was a previous face of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, along with a previous location. So as far as the FNAF 2 location being the original Freddy's in the games, I think it's possible, but it's highly unlikely. But one big reveal from the movie that I think can work well in the games is that the reason the puppet calms down when hearing the music box is because it was a gift from her father, Henry. I think that works pretty well in the games and is a satisfying answer to why the music box works on the puppet. Speaking of the puppet, the movie also revealed that the only animatronic that's haunted in the FNAF 2 pizzeria is the puppet. The movie makes it very clear that there's only one spirit haunting the pizzeria, and that's Charlie. Because of this, Charlie is actually the one controlling all of the toy and withered animatronics, which means all of the animatronics except the puppet are not haunted. This is something that could translate to the games, but there are a few problems. In FNAF 2, we see the spirit, or at least the suit, of Golden Freddy popping in and out of the office. We also know that there were another set of murders at the FNAF 2 location, commonly referred to as the DCI, the Dead Children Incident. But after FNAF 2, the DCI is literally never brought up in another game again. This makes me think that Scott didn't intend for these to be kids in this minigame. I think they're meant to be adults. We see in both the first and second movie instances of adults entering the pizzerias and getting killed by the animatronics. In the second movie, we see Michael Afton offering to give the ghost hunters a tour of the restaurant, only for the toy animatronics to kill them. And if you look at Michael's outfit, you can see he's wearing a purple polo shirt and a big gold security badge on his chest, just like the purple guy we see in the FNAF 2 minigame. Maybe this purple guy isn't meant to be William, it's meant to be Michael Afton, luring adults into the pizzeria to their deaths. But here's the problem. We see in the opening scene of the movie that Charlie is desperately trying to tell the adults that a kid was being kidnapped, but they all ignore her. This ends up being the reason Charlie gets killed. And now that she possesses the puppet, her goal is to kill all of the adults that she can, because they failed to help her that day. This might even be why Henry had to create Lefty in FNAF 6 to capture the puppet. He knows that she's out of control and wants revenge against the adults. What happens in the movie actually could line up pretty well with the games. In Charlie's death minigame, we do see her outside of the pizzeria screaming for help through the window. And because no one helped her, she gets killed by William. The adults at the restaurant failed her in both the movies and the games. And in the FNAF 2 phone calls, we hear that the animatronics at the pizzeria are fine with kids, but act differently around adults.
But the characters have been acting very unusual.
Yeah, we know this.
Aggressive towards the staff. They interact with the kids just fine, but when they encounter an adult, they just stare.
We even get—
oh my gosh, then it makes sense. Cause then if supposedly Puppet was controlling every animatronic and Puppet is the only spirit, no wonder they would act weird against adults because they're still technically controlled by the puppet. It makes sense. Oh my gosh, this guy is making more sense than it should be. Like the FNAF 4 being under an experiment just got me so much.
a line from Vanessa in the movie where she says that Charlie doesn't blame Afton for her murder, she blames the adults that failed to help her, which also lines up with her voice lines from Ultimate Custom Night.
I recognize you, but I'm not afraid of you. Not anymore. I don't hate you, but you need to stay out of my way.
Charlie is only mad at the adults, and that's kind of the problem. In the minigame where we see the DCI, you can see the puppet running around the pizzeria with the words "save them" being spoken letter by letter. It seems like the puppet is trying to save the people who got killed, but if these really are supposed to be adults, Charlie wouldn't want to save them. This is the thing. It feels like these pieces are supposed to connect, but there's always one or two things contradicting them. But one other thing that could work in the games is what's in the box. In the movie, we see Vanessa pull a box out of the closet and take various objects out, including Garrett's toy plane. Because Garrett's plane was in the box, I think it's safe to assume that what's in the box is Afton's trophies from his murders. This is a common thing that serial killers do, so that would make sense. This is one of those things that has no evidence to back it up in the games, but it kind of doesn't need it. The box isn't super important to the story currently, so whether this is what's in the box in the games or not doesn't really affect anything. So until Scott says otherwise, this is probably what's in the box. Next, we gotta talk about Circus Baby.
Yeah.
After I saw the movie for the first time, I told you that there was one scene that made me jump out of my chair, and this was it. But one thing that didn't hit me until after I left the theater is that Vanessa in this dream sequence looks to be the same age she was when Charlie died, meaning that we have a fully functioning and built Circus Baby as early as 1982. And not only that, her eyes are already green.
Yeah.
In the games, this would mean that Elizabeth already possesses Baby. But it doesn't seem like Elizabeth exists in the movie universe, at least that we know of. I can only hope that we learn more about when Baby was built in the third movie, because figuring out when Circus Baby's Pizza World opened would help a lot with creating a timeline. But if this part of the movie really can be put into the games, then Elizabeth being the first death in the franchise is not out of the question. With this, I think we're gonna have to wait until we get more info in the third movie. Once again, I am not saying the movie universe is the same as the games. I think what I've learned from recent—
and we have to agree that there are times where we've used spin-offs or other stuff other than the games to confirm some stuff. Like Scott says the books are not canon, but it's also used to help the lore of FNAF, but it's still not canon, but it still helps. It's weird. So I guess that's what they're trying to do as well, but with the movies, I guess.
Searching for this video is that the movie franchise really does take parts of every corner of this franchise and mixes them all together. There are things we can take from this movie and use in the games that are pretty satisfying in my opinion, but a lot of things just don't work, and that's okay. Unless there's something big that I'm missing, and in that case, Scott, if you're watching, feel free to let me know in the comments if you want. Subscribe if you enjoyed, and thanks for watching. The FNAF—
I really want to see if Scott actually did it. It doesn't look like it. It honestly doesn't look like it. But that'll be it for this video. Yeah, I know it's a short one. It is basically my reaction to see FNAF's new video. Honestly, the spring trap idea really amazed me. It really could be real because there's so much evidence. I never thought of it. What was the other one? Oh Baby. I thought of that as well. I thought that maybe either Elizabeth and Vanessa are gonna switch places, but it can't happen because Vanessa needs to be a child and to disobey his father in order to get killed. But since she's an adult, she's smart that she doesn't need to do that. If that was the case, would that mean that maybe Vanessa could be an adopted sister and that Elizabeth is still Afton's first daughter, but it's the first murder instead of Garrett or Crying Child from the Fredbear, the Bite of 83? It's God, what is wrong with you? Can't you just make a regular story? But I guess, but this is what he wants. He wants us to continue theorizing and he wants us to continue talking about this for years, even after his retirement. But yeah, there will be nothing else said right now. This will be the it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope so enjoy, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.